So we are working with Raman.
Mm.
Raman, is it okay if I record this for
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
We're with Raman, and Raman needs some help to clarify his message. He was telling me that, man, I'm trying to reach out to people, I'm trying to talk to people, and I need to be able to clarify what the heck I do and how I can help. So let's actually start, Raman, with you telling me, let's pretend you and I are at a networking event.
Yeah.
I walk up to you because, you know, you're a good looking guy and I like to talk to handsome people all the time. And I say, hey, Raman, what do you do?
Now I go.
That's
Right.
Yeah, well, we're at a networking event. Yeah, go.
Yes. I work for Europe's biggest Google Maps agency. What do you do?
What is that? What exactly is that?
We work with businesses to take to them the best in class location technology to improve their location strategies.
And scene. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So you're making the biggest mistake people make when they do elevator pitches. It's actually two mistakes. The first mistake is you're not talking about a problem that you can potentially solve for someone.
Okay.
You're talking about what your thing is. Let me give you an example to make this really crispy because we're going to drill this in and then we'll get tactical.
Okay.
So imagine for a second, you took a cashmere sweater and you accidentally put it in the dryer. That cashmere sweater was $300.
Oh man.
When you took it out of the dryer, it was shrunk. So if I'm on Shrink It, which is actually a product that unshrinks wool sweaters by pouring liquid on it, if you were to walk up to me at a networking event, I would say, hey, Raman, you know how sometimes by accident you put your wool socks or a wool sweater in the dryer and it gets shrunk? And then I would say, you know what, that has happened to me. That's a problem. Let me give you another one just to burn this in a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever gone to a mechanic for an oil change and the auto mechanic ended up telling you needed a new transmission and you didn't know whether he was full of shit or not? You didn't know if you trusted him. That's actually for another product. That is a device that plugs into your car to check to see if the auto mechanic is telling you the truth, it diagnoses your car.
Yeah.
Let me give you one more to burn it in. Have you ever had your hard drive blow only to realize that you lost all the pictures of your family and the videos? So problems are what makes brains pay attention. The nightly news knows this, right? They tease. Coming up next, there's a wreck on the interstate. Infomercials know this really well, right? Having trouble making the perfect French fry using a knife, black and white. Hands dirty, kitchen's a mess, family's unhappy. So what we have to do, the first step in crafting your quote unquote elevator pitch is to figure out, and maybe you solve a bunch of problems, but to figure out one problem that you have. And we're going to pretend we're actually going to make an infomercial. And the infomercials typically start with, have you ever? And so let's actually brainstorm that a little bit together to be able to get clarity on a problem, because people don't buy your thing.
Yeah.
They buy how your thing allows them to kick more ass or to be more awesome. So the first thing we have to do before we get to the after, I don't even want to talk about after. I don't want to hear anything about geo-targeting or all that other stuff that you talked about, all those tech words, jargon. I just don't want to hear about that right now. Only thing I want to hear about is the problem. So let's actually just brainstorm it and then we can craft it into a sentence. So
okay, cool.
Let's just pick one use case. I know you've got a bunch, which is okay. We're just going to pick one.
Yeah.
And talk to me about the problem. And I'm going to limit you to a couple sentences.
Okay, so one of the biggest problems we have, so in the retail space, is customer drop-off. So a customer will put a product in their basket and they won't fulfill that order. So a big problem we solve in e-commerce is the problem of drop-off rate, right?
Fantastic. So now let's turn that in. Let's just stop right there for a second because that was really good. Yeah. So let's actually turn that into a sentence. So if I said, what do? You could say, hey, Josh, let's pretend I'm an e-commerce person. Have you ever experienced in your e-commerce store people putting things in their shopping cart and never buying them?
Oh, so you ask a question. You turn rhetorical question.
It's not a rhetorical question. The reason I'm asking the question is I want to see if this problem is relevant to the person I'm speaking with. Yeah, because if there's no problem, then your solution has no value. For example, if I said, do you know how you put wool sweaters in the dryer? I don't own wool sweaters. Well, then I don't really care about unshrink it, right? If I said about the mechanic one, you know how you take your car to the mechanic to get an oil change and to tell you new transmission? No, I have a brand new car. Never experienced that. Then my product has no value because my car's under warranty. You know how you have kids in your pictures and your videos on your hard drive? I don't have any kids and pictures.
Yeah. So do you use that almost that initial question as a qualification then, I guess, as well? So it's like a sort of,
Well, we can get to how we use it, but it's very important. Right now, we're talking about a scenario where you're at a networking event. You're talking to someone in person. But this concept, once we understand and we can get very crispy on the problems you solve, which is step number one, we can then start to take those problems and how you help people kick more ass or be more awesome. And we can start to craft those into cold call scripts eventually. I was on your website, and your website looks just like most websites, which is just googly gook full of jargon stuff. It doesn't really talk about the problem I solve or how it makes my life better in some way. Yeah. So a lot of, and the problem with that obviously is when people go to your website or when they're talking with you, like we just did at the beginning of this call, you end up sounding, and I'm going to use a reference you might not be familiar with in the States, of a movie called Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is there's an iconic scene in that movie where the teacher is lecturing to the students in a very dry, monotonous, lifeless way. And the students are zoning out. You've probably been in lectures like this. And so when you confuse people and you talk in ways that aren't relevant and there's no problem, I'm going to zone out because it's not relevant to me.
Listening, no.
Right. So I have to be able to take my metal detector and I have to see if it beeps. Someone's got, I do have that problem. And they'll make it talk about the after of the infomercial.
I like that. That's a good start.
Yeah. So let's actually try that. Let's actually try that with you. Let's pretend we're at a networking event. Now we're going to do the after version because now we went through this little exercise. And let's try that with the e-commerce. Let's pretend we're at an e-commerce conference and you strike up a conversation. Maybe I have a Shopify store. I'm an e-commerce person. And I say, hey, what do you do?
So what I do is I help and educate people with... No. Start again.
Here we go. Take two.
Yeah.
So we're at a network event. Hey, man, what do you do?
Hey, I'm Raman for WebGeo. I help people. No.
It's all right, man. Hey, have you ever? Have you ever, or do you know how? Have you ever experienced, or do you know how? So, and take three. Here we go. And hey, what do you do?
Hey, I'm Raman for WebGeo. Josh, have you ever had a problem of your customers dropping out quicker than they need to in your e-commerce strategy?
Okay, that's getting closer.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, Josh, I don't know if you've had this problem or not, but you ever had a customers come to your website, they load up the shopping cart with a bunch of stuff, and then they just abandon the cart and never check out? Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try it again. Take four and action. Hey, what do you do, man?
Hey, I'm Raman for WebGeo. Have you ever had a problem of customers leaving their cart, with products still in it and they abandon it at the last minute?
Yeah. I have had that happen. Okay, now we're on to the next part.